Para bailar la bamba, para bailar la bamba se necesita una poca de gracia, una poca de gracia.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Let's Talk Criterion. And of course, there's no prizes for guessing what's being featured on this edition. By our opening music, of course. Yes, it's the 1987 American biographical drama film written and directed by Luis Valdez, called La Bamba. It tells the meteoric rise to fame of the Mexican-American Chicano rock and roll star Richie Valens. Born Richard Stephen Valenzuela on May the 13th, 1941 in Picoma, that's a neighborhood in the San Fernando Valley region of Los Angeles, he was better known by his stage name, of course, that's Richie Valens. He was an American guitarist, singer and songwriter, a rock and roll pioneer and forefather of the Chicano rock movement. Now, his career only spanned a very short time, but during that time Valens had several hits in the charts, most notably La Bamba, which he had adapted from a Mexican folk song. Now, Valens transformed this song into one with a rock rhythm and beat, and it became a hit for him in 1958, making Valens a pioneer of the Spanish-speaking rock and roll movement. He also had an American #2 hit in the charts with Donna, that was in the Billboard charts in America. Luis Valdez film stars Lou Diamond Phillips in the leading role of Richie Valens. A strange choice, you might say, as Diamond Phillips wasn't well renowned at the time for his singing prowess. But there was no need to worry on that front though, as he lip-synced all of Richie Valens' songs, which were performed in the film by Los Lobos, who the Valenzuela family personally requested be involved in the film. Now, the band has a cameo in the film as well, performing in the brothel ballroom in Tijuana. The film looks at Richie Valens' teenage years, leading up to him joining his first band called the Silhouettes, and also covers the effect that Valens' career had on the lives of his half-brother Bob Morales, his girlfriend Donna Ludwig, and the rest of his family. In 2017, La Bamba was included in an annual selection of 25 motion pictures added to the National Film Registry of the US Library of Congress, being deemed culturally, historically or aesthetically significant and recommended for preservation. Now, from the opening sequence, it emphasises Richie's inherent fear of flying. One can easily be fooled into thinking it was in fact Richie's own death, but it was in fact an in-air collision and crash that killed one of his friends. But it sets the scene and it foreshadows the way Richie's life was to ironically and sadly come to an end. Now, as a serious, introspective, intensely focused young man who wanted to play his music more than anything else in his life, his dedication amounts almost to an obsession. He never seems to really let go. Valens had only 3 hit songs. His public career lasted less than 6 months. He died before he was 18. There isn't a wealth of material to draw from as there was for instance, the Buddy Holly story. So Luis Valdez, the director, fleshes out the story with information about Valens' family, especially his hard-working and cheerful mother, Rosana de Soto, and his half-brother, Isai Morales, who both support him and resent him. Once Valens is discovered by a minor record producer, Joe Pantoliano, his career goes surprisingly well. He records a song, it's a hit, he's invited by Alan Freed to appear in one of his pioneering rock and roll stage shows in Brooklyn, and 2 other hits follow fairly quickly afterwards. Valens made one crucial artistic decision here. Although he didn't speak Spanish, he insisted on recording La Bamba in Spanish, using the irrefutable logic that if Nat King Cole could record in Spanish, he could as well. Valens' last tour is handled in an almost perfunctory manner. We know how the movie will end, of course. The Big Bopper circulates backstage saying "hello baby" to everyone he meets. Buddy Holly sings "crying, waiting, hoping." They go out to the airport in a snowstorm. Holly flips a coin and Valance calls heads and, of course, wins his place on the ill-fated flight. At around 12:55 a.m. on February the 3rd, 1959, the four-passenger Beechcraft Bonanza, call sign N3794N, departed for Fargo, North Dakota, and it crashed just a few minutes after takeoff for reasons still unknown. The crash killed all three passengers and the pilot Roger Peterson instantly upon impact. As with Holly and Richardson, Valance suffered massive and insurvivable head injuries along with blunt force trauma to the chest. And at the age of only 18, Valance was the youngest to die in the crash. Forever after, it was referred to as the day the music died, quoted exactly word for word in the chorus of the Don McLean hit American Pie some years later. This film tells an interesting story of a young man who was still yet to reach his full potential musically and who had made an impact on the American music scene and was well respected by all of his peers. Now, the cast of the film consists of Lou Diamond Phillips playing Richie Valance, Esai Morales as Roberto Bob Morales, Richie's half-brother, Rosanna De Soto as Connie Valenzuela, that's Richie's mother, Elizabeth Pena as Rosie Morales, Danielle von Zerneck as Donna Ludwig, Joe Pantoliano as Bob Keane, Rick Dees as Ted Quillen, Stephen Lee as the Big Bopper, and Sam Anderson as Mr. Ludwig, that was Donna's father. And also featured are several members of the actual Valenzuela family and director Luis Valdez family as well. And that includes Concepcion Valenzuela, the real Connie Valenzuela, that's Richie's mother. She plays the older woman sitting next to Richie at a family party. Daniel Valdez, that's Luis's younger brother, as Richie's uncle Lalo. Brian Setzer as its cameo as Eddie Cochran, performing Summertime Blues on stage, and Howard Hunsbury playing Jackie Wilson, who sings Lonely Teardrops on stage. Marshall Crenshaw playing Buddy Holly, performing Crying, Waiting, Hoping at the final concert, which took place in Clear Lake in Iowa. Now, the film La Bamba only won one major award, and that was the Golden Globe Award for Best Motion Picture Drama in 1988. The film comes new to the Criterion Collection on Blu-ray with the following special features. There's a new 4K digital restoration approved by the director Luis Valdez with 5.1 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack, audio commentaries from Valdez, actors Lou Diamond Phillips and Esai Morales, and producers Stuart Benjamin, Taylor Hackford and Danielle Valdez. New interview with Luis Valdez, conversation between Luis Valdez, conversation between Valdez and filmmaker Robert Rodriguez from El Rey's Network's The Director's Chair, making of programme featuring cast and crew, audition footage, a trailer, and as always is an essay by critic Yolanda Machado. And new cover art is by Eric Skillman. He's a regular contributor to the Criterion Collection titles. Luis Valdez chooses to expand the source material as Valance's lifespan was only 18 short years. The best things in the film are the most unexpected ones. That's the portraits of everyday life, of a loving mother, of a brother who loves and resents him, of a kid growing up and tasting fame and leaving everyone standing around at his funeral, shocked that his life ended just as it seemed to be starting. La Bamba has a running time of 108 minutes and it's in full screen aspect ratio, that's 1:85:1, and it releases on Tuesday the 26th of September in the US collection as Spine 1193. And I think all these years later in 2023, it's worth maybe re-evaluating this film because it was sort of very commercially oriented when it was trailered and released in cinemas back in its day. Maybe now it has grown in stature over the years, certainly so much so that it has been entered into the National Film Registry. And that is quite an achievement for a film of this type. And it only remains to me to say that I'm very pleased to be proved wrong about this. Of course, it came out on the 5th of September in the US, and it's The Princess Bride, Rob Reiner film. And I'm very pleased to say it's in exactly the same packaging as it was on the Blu-ray. So rumours were not, in fact, founded on this. And there we go. And as you can see, the booklet is exactly the same as well. Very, very pleased. Apart from, of course, the Blu-ray and the 4K this time rather than just the Blu-ray. And I can say wholeheartedly, it's excellent. I recommend it to you. Pick it up in the November sales if you're in the US because the transfer is absolutely superb. Criterion have excelled themselves on this one, definitely. And on that note, I'm going to leave you. And all I have to say is keep watching those fantastic Criterion films. And above all, good viewing.